Revelator John.
Hello, welcome to Revelator John on YouTube. So some of you might have known that I used to publish and edit, be the editor of a motorcycle magazine a few years ago. So one of the regular features used to run was, the top fives or the top 10 preferences from people who would feature in the magazine. So it could be anything, engines, bikes, whatever. So I thought I'd just give my top 10 bikes of all time. Quite an eclectic mix, and include these bikes in for different reasons, not purely based on looks and not purely based on performance, but based on my personal experiences of these bikes as well. So just getting on with it then. Right, so number 10, one of my 10th choice is a Triumph T120 Bonneville, late 60s, early 70s bike. Love that bike. Kind of, because of its associations with, the cafe scene, I suppose, with, the lads, wanting to take bits off and make them go faster, the ton-up boys, I suppose. More, for me, it was more of the first movie star that I really liked was as a kid was Clint Eastwood. He rode one of these in one of his movies, a couple of his movies, Coogan's Bluff. It was a TR6 as well. I think he rode as well. But anyway, this styling of bike, and you could include Nortons and all that sort of stuff at the same era. I like all those bikes, but the Triumph, Bonneville was always one of my favourites. So that's why I liked it. I love the styling, like the look, the tank, the exhaust, the layout, which is brilliant bike. Okay, so number 9 is a Moto Guzzi V7. Now, I'm not a big fan of Italian bikes per se, in general terms. Although they've some great bikes out there, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not a big fan of them. However, the Moto Guzzi, the V7, is one of my favourites of all time. Just love that sort of cafe style. Love the twin motor. Love the sound of it. Love the Binatone sort of sound of the exhaust. Just love it. Love the sort of variations of the bike as well. The V11 I say is a nice bike as well, but the V7 just beautiful bike. Okay, number 8, the BMW 1000RR. Basically, this bike is a ready to go race bike, sports monster. Brilliant bike. Lots of amateur racers or club racers. They want to go on this bike or get this bike because it's out the box, it's out the crate, and it's ready to rock and roll. And it will compete quite effectively with somebody who's actually prepared a bike in a race bike, and it'll have a lot of the performance, but also it will be resilient enough to withstand. It won't be delicate as a race perform bike as well. So great balance, awesome power, just fantastic bike. An all-round package bike is brilliant. Okay, number 7, probably one of my all-time favourite bikes of an era. Sort of 70s, where the Japanese really sort of start to take over, with the 100, the 4-cylinder bikes, first the 3 cylinders, then the 4-cylinder bikes, and then the Honda CB750. Love that bike. I had a single overhead cam and dual overhead cam, which are converted to, hardtails as well. But single overhead cam, just loved it. Love that bike. Great balance, great look, great feel, lovely looking engine as well. Number 6 comes back to my childhood, and I love this Kawasaki K175, which is a trail bike. Love that. But you can also include lots of other trail bikes, whether it's Yamaha, Honda XLs, Suzuki, whatever it is. And I just love those kind of lightweight trail bikes. Put certain hoblets on and they just go anywhere, and you'll have so much fun on those. So I love those. Number five, probably one of my all-time best bikes. For just being on the road and just amazing power, and that's a Kawasaki ZZR 1400. Amazing power. Yeah, granted it's more of a straight line bike, but amazing power, amazing speed, amazing balance as well. But it's stuck to the road. It's glued to the road. You never feel as if you're going to come off that bike, and it's just amazing, absolutely amazing bike. Great for touring, great for, you know, speed ride, great for, you know, shooting down runways at high speed, which I used to do with it. Brilliant bike. Number 4, come back, you know, a bit similar to the CB750 of the generation. Come back to my sort of teens, but you know, I love that sort of mid-70s sort of, muscle bike, or you know, or lesser muscle bike. Suzuki GS750. Love the styling, love the range, love the variations of them. You could do anything like that. You know, you could go off for the weekend. You could go out, you know, different pubs or cafes with your mates. Just great bike. Loved it. GS1000 is fantastic as well, but just preferred the GS750. Okay, number three, probably this is when I make my videos, about riding videos, this is what I'm always saying about a bike that can go anywhere, and it doesn't have to be, you know, some big sports bike or some tourer or adventure bike. And this bike has sold more than any other bike in the world, and has gone further and more places than any other bike, and it's a Honda C90 Cub. Brilliant bike, used in countless different ways all over the world, and just one of the best bikes of all time in my opinion. Number two comes back to my childhood again. I used to have a Suzuki dealership near where I used to live, and it's just one of the first bikes that was coming out of the naked bike and trying to be really futuristic, bit DeLorean-esque in its sort of styling. This was pre-fairing really, but Suzuki GSX 1100 Katana. The styling, the futuristic styling, the look, the power on that thing. A mate of mine had one, went on it lots of times. The power on that thing was fantastic. Love that bike. Love the bike. Still do to this day. Always on the lookout for one as well. You know what I mean? Okay, so number 1, my all-time favourite bike. Okay, and this is not to do with its performance, not to do with its styling per se. It was just that it was the anti-hero of the brand, and that's what I really liked. So it's a Harley Davidson XL-CR 1000, which is a cafe style Harley Davidson, which is kind of unheard of really, especially at the time when it was released. Just a great bike. Love the bike, love the styling, love the kind of built off a Sportster frame, off a Sportster engine. Wanted to be a bit speedy, wanted to be a bit lightweight, but it wasn't really lightweight, if you know what I mean, because Harleys never are. But it was just a great looking bike, and to this day I could look at that bike and just go wow, amazing it. And because it was so different from every other Harley out there, and it was more of a nod back in time to the way Harley started out, and you know, on the racing tracks, on the dirt tracks, and you know, the grass tracks and stuff like that, than where it was at the time. You know, it's kind of, they're like big dinosaur bikes, and I suppose they still are to a certain degree, but you know, they're still great bikes, and there's some great bikes they got now, and they try to, you know, come back away from that, but you know, some brilliant bikes. But that bike, XL-CR, was my favourite bike. Okay, so there's my top 10. Leave your comments down below, see if you agree. I'm sure there'll be, you know, purely a subjective thing, I'm sure, and you know, you're going to have your top 10 or whatever bike. Some of those bikes won't even feature in yours, I'm sure. I suppose it depends on your experience, on what you love through bikes. But I try to be objective and try to have, you know, give as much variation in there as well. From the small bikes to the big bikes to the, you know, sports bikes and everything like that. It would be very hard really for me to pinpoint which is my overall winner, but I'm, you know, definitively, but I am leaning, as I say, towards my number 1 is that the XL-CR Harley Davidson. But those top 10 are equally just as great for me. Right, let me know what you think. Cheers.